Yeah.
Hey everybody, Austin Meek, Kevin Haskin here in the beautiful city of Dallas, getting ready for the Cotton Bowl tonight, Kansas State and Arkansas. You're watching history here as the CJ College podcast is being taped for the first time in video form, and you can see why we usually do this as an audio program. Earl, at least you put a shirt on though, so.
I haven't shaved.
But, well hey, thanks for checking out the podcast here. If you've been keeping up with all the Cotton Bowl stuff this week, hopefully you've got everything you need to be ready for the game. We're just resting up here for a few minutes before we head over to the stadium. Earl, it's Cotton Bowl day. The city of Dallas is packed with K-State fans. We saw 15,000 of them at Rangers Ballpark last night. Standalone game tonight on Fox. K-State and Arkansas, two top 10 teams. So let's throw the question out there: is K-State football back?
Yeah, to some degree. I'm not absolutely sure of that yet. I think you need a run of a few of these types of bowl games to really say it's back, or even some 10-win seasons. The stretch that K-State had before was pretty phenomenal when you had 6 11-win seasons in 7 years. So it's back to some degree to what it was at the height of the first success under Snyder. I don't think so just yet.
You wrote an interesting column this week examining the Bill Snyder recruiting model. I think one of the things people have talked about a lot leading up to the Cotton Bowl is, does a season like this open some doors for K-State to recruit some players that they haven't been recruiting the last few years, some of these 4- and 5-star players? Do you think there's an opportunity for K-State to do that now? Does K-State need to capitalize on this season in recruiting? Or the fact that K-State got here with the kind of players they've always been recruiting, JUCOs and in-state kids and 3-star prospects, do you feel like K-State ought to just kind of stick with what's working for them?
I think you stick with what's working for you. It is unconventional. Not many programs at this level try to do it this way. But Kansas State has an advantage in that it can get junior college players into school, and it has an advantage because it has a coach and a staff that knows how to groom those transfers once they come in. We've seen the impact of transfers this year, not only from the JUCO level, but Arthur Brown too, playing linebacker and really strengthening that defense to a point that you really almost can't even compare it with last season. But it's interesting. I mean, because Kansas State can get JUCO guys too in different ways, and to plug in a JUCO walk-on who has since been scholarship, Jordan Volker, a defensive end, a position he didn't even play in college. He was a tight end for Butler County. So, to be able to do that, I think speaks volumes of how Kansas State operates as a program and where it needs to stay in terms of its recruiting niche.
How remarkable is this season? I mean, we're around K-State all the time. We're around Bill Snyder all the time, and it's easy to kind of lose sight, I think, of just what he's done this year. But then when we get in a setting like this where you have a lot of media here and fans who maybe aren't that familiar with Bill Snyder, aside from the fact that he's old and successful, but how incredible is it for this guy to come back and in his third year have K-State at 10 wins and playing in the Cotton Bowl? I mean, it's got to be one of the great coaching jobs you've seen up close.
I think it has. It's been one of his best years, if not his very best year at coaching Kansas State football. And what you really see is the discipline that this team exerts. It commits few penalties, few turnovers, and if you can do that and minimize mistakes, you're going to stay in ball games. And what has Kansas State done? It's stayed in ball games and won numerous games by single digits. So you give yourself a chance when you do that, and the discipline this team plays with has been off the charts.
K-State has a chance to win 11 games for the 7th time in school history. There's going to be discussion, where does this team rank among Snyder's best? I mean, if they get to 11 wins, no team in K-State history has won more games in a single season. How do you classify this team compared to some of the best ones K-State's had?
Well, in terms of star power, you can't say that it's one of the best teams. That 98 team that went undefeated in league play, lost in double overtime to Texas A&M in the Big 12 championship game. That team dominated the all Big 12 picks, and I think was probably as talented a team in all aspects as any squad that Bill Snyder fielded. This one, I think, maybe has as much heart as any K-State team that I've seen, and a lot of that comes from Colin Klein. I mean, you did a great feature on Colin and his upbringing and kind of his character and what he got from his parents, and he's shown that on the field this year. And you know, you hate to put so much on one player, but this is a sport in which so much is put on one player, the quarterback, and he's been just terrific in terms of taking this team and being able to lead it the way he can, and mostly with his feet, but also, I'm sure, too, in that huddle.
Yeah, I think the 1998 team is going to be the team against which all other good K-State teams are measured. I mean, that's going to be the standard, and unless K-State somehow wins a national championship, I'm not sure you're going to see a team that you would put ahead of that one. And the 97 team, the year before that team that went to the Fiesta Bowl, was really good too.
Sure.
But this season, I think you could make a case that this will go down as certainly one of the top 2 or 3 great seasons in K-State football so far, just because of all the close games and all the ways this team found to win. I mean, it's a team that even now you say, yeah, should they really be here? I mean, is this really a top 10 team? But at the end of the season, you are what your record says, and K-State found a way to win those games. And K-State's going to go into next year, I think, with a lot of attention that wasn't there, certainly this season, because the core of this team is coming back. Colin Klein's coming back. I mean, the offense, especially at the skill positions, is going to come back pretty much intact, and a lot of playmakers on defense, too. What do you think the expectations are going to be? How does tonight affect those expectations? If K-State wins tonight, is this a team you see as a legitimate top 10 team going into next year?
I do. I'm not sure that expectations, it might fit into national expectations what happens tonight. I think within the Big 12, the expectations have already been set because you played the conference schedule already. Everyone knows in the conference what Kansas State has coming back, the kind of job it did this year, and a lot of coaches are still scratching their head watching the film and befuddled how they lost to K-State, I'm sure. But they're going to be, K-State's going to be picked in the upper half of the Big 12 next season for sure. Exactly where, I don't know yet, but if they win tonight, yeah, they're going to be picked, among the top 2 or 3 obviously in the league, and potential top 10 pick for going into next year.
Here's my one word of caution. I'm sure that the expectations for next year are going to be much higher than they've been at any point for K-State football since the Big 12 championship. And we saw this with K-State basketball a little bit. They went to the Elite Eight that year, and they had a big core of players coming back. And you said, okay, this next year is the one that's going to be really special. And then what happened? They had some problems and ended up in the second round of the NCAA tournament. So I guess what I'm saying is, enjoy this season. I mean, this has been a really special season for a lot of reasons. There's just the way this team has found ways to win games. It's been a fun ride, even just covering it. It's been an interesting team to cover. So enjoy it. Whatever happens from here, it's been a fun season. Okay, Earl, let's get your pick for the game tonight. Who you got, K-State or Arkansas? What kind of game do you expect?
Well, watched the Wildcats all year, and I still don't believe. I'm going Arkansas 35, K-State 28.
Earl, the buzzkill. Got to be a buzzkill on game day. Well, I can't do it. I just with this K-State team, 2 factors with K-State. Bill Snyder with a month to prepare. I think that's an edge for K-State. And Colin Klein with a month to get healthy. Those are 2 things that you think might allow K-State to play a little bit better than maybe you would think on paper against Arkansas. So I'll take the Cats 31-28 But we'll see. I think we both agree this probably is a game that's going to come down to the wire because K-State can't play any other kind of game.
Yeah, that's the only way they play, and that's a credit to them. And you know, I think as many people that have picked against Kansas State, I read the Dallas Morning News. They had 6 guys, all of them were unanimous, picking for Arkansas in this to win this Cotton Bowl. And I think the more that people are picking against them again, it's going to serve as inspiration for them. But I just think Arkansas has a little bit too much. This might be a team that's in that upper echelon, sort of like Oklahoma was, sort of like Oklahoma State was, and I don't know that Kansas State's got enough to get it done.
Well, hey, thanks for checking out all the Cotton Bowl stuff this week. Hope you've been entertained and informed to some degree. Thanks to Eric Smith, who's done some really good video for us this week. And enjoy the game tonight, and we'll be back on this podcast whenever we decide to do it again.